Rewire your brain in 30 days, science-based protocol. Imagine waking up a month from now and realizing your mind feels different, clearer, lighter, more agile. Not because you meditated for hours on a mountain or chanted affirmations at the mirror, but because you nudged your brain, day by day, to form new pathways. Here's the question. Can you truly rewire your brain in 30 days, using only what's proven by neuroscience and psychology? By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what's possible and how to do it, step by step. The payoff? A protocol grounded in real science, no hype and no mystical shortcuts. But I'll warn you, the real magic is slower and subtler than the self-help gurus promise. Ready to see what your brain is actually capable of in a month? You've probably heard it before, maybe too many times. Change your thoughts, change your life. It sounds empowering, but for most of us, it just doesn't land. Maybe you've tried to break a habit, start a new one, or silence a voice in your head that keeps replaying the same old story. You read the books, download the apps, set the reminders. 3 days in, you slip. 5 days in, you forget. 2 weeks later, you wonder if there's something broken in you, since everyone else seems to be manifesting their best selves on social media. Here's the thing nobody tells you. Your brain isn't a machine you can hack, at least not the way Instagram quotes suggest. Decades of research show that real durable change is both simpler and messier. The brain is plastic, yes, but that plasticity is lazy. It prefers the familiar, even if familiar means anxious, distracted, or stuck. The conventional advice fails because it ignores the real structure of how your habits, moods, and thoughts are embedded, literally, in networks of neurons that resist change. But it's also true that with the right kind of effort, applied consistently, your brain can and does change in measurable ways. Not overnight, not by wishing, but through daily, targeted practice with realistic expectations and a dose of curiosity. Let's make this concrete. I want to take you into the actual machinery of your brain, because if you can see what's happening inside, you'll understand why change is possible and why it usually isn't instant or easy. We'll build this in 4 acts: how habits really form and unform, how your brain predicts and reacts to the world, how attention is the lever for change, and why emotion isn't your enemy, but your compass. At each step, I'll give you one practical, science-backed micro-action you can start today, and I'll tie it all together at the end with a protocol you can actually follow for 30 days. First, let's talk about habits. Not the motivational poster version, you are what you repeatedly do, but the neural version. Inside your brain, every habit, from biting your nails to scrolling Instagram when you're bored, is a loop. The basic mechanics come from a part of your brain called the basal ganglia, which is like a pattern recognition engine. When you repeat an action in a similar context, your brain starts to wire together the cue, I'm bored, the routine, I scroll, and the reward, a tiny hit of novelty or distraction. Over time, these loops become automatic. You don't think about them, they run you. Here's the twist. Breaking a habit isn't about willpower. It's about making the loop visible and then changing one link at a time. Research on habit formation shows that if you try to just stop a behavior with brute force, the old circuitry fights back. But if you substitute the routine, give your brain a new action to perform when the cue hits, you start to lay down a competing pathway. The old loop weakens, the new one strengthens. This is called competitive plasticity. A concrete example. Imagine you're trying to cut down on mindless snacking. The cue is the urge, maybe mid-afternoon boredom. The old routine is reaching for chips. The reward is a brief hit of pleasure, or just something to do with your hands. Instead of white-knuckling through the urge, research suggests you're more likely to succeed if you substitute a new behavior that's easy and rewarding. A brisk walk around the room, a glass of water, or even a few deep breaths with your eyes closed. The key isn't the specific action, it's the substitution and the consistency. Here's a micro-action for you. For the next 7 days, pick one habit you want to change. Don't try to eliminate it, swap it. Each time you notice the cue, do your new action, even if it feels awkward. Track it on paper. The awkwardness is a sign your brain is paying attention. New synapses are being laid down. You won't see dramatic change in a day, but if you stick with it, the new loop starts to compete. This is how the architecture of your brain begins to shift. Now let's zoom out. Habits are the grooves your brain runs in, but what determines which habits stick in the first place? Here's where we meet the brain's predictive machinery. It turns out, your brain isn't just reacting to the world, it's constantly predicting it. Neuroscientists call this predictive processing. Your brain is a prediction engine, always trying to guess what's about to happen, and then updating its models based on what actually happens. This is true for sensory input, what you see, hear, feel, and for your own behavior. This predictive model explains why change feels uncomfortable. When you try to act differently, your brain's predictions are violated. That generates a signal, what researchers call prediction error, that feels like friction, uncertainty, or even anxiety. The brain hates prediction error. It tries to resolve it as quickly as possible, either by snapping back to the old behavior or by updating its prediction to fit the new reality. Here's the practical upshot. If you want to rewire your brain, you have to get comfortable with prediction error. You have to expect things to feel wrong, off, or even boring at first. This isn't a sign you're failing. It's a sign your brain is updating its model. In Buddhist philosophy, this is sometimes compared to the discomfort of sitting with uncertainty. In neuroscience, it's the necessary pain of plasticity. A way to practice this: the next time you try your new habit substitution and feel an urge to quit, pause for 10 seconds. Notice the discomfort. Label it. This is prediction error. Breathe. This tiny act of mindfulness, naming the sensation, has been shown in brain imaging studies to reduce reactivity in the amygdala, the brain's threat detector. Over time, your brain learns that discomfort is not a threat, just a sign of change. That's a small but powerful step toward lasting transformation. Let's go deeper. If habits are loops and prediction is the engine, what's the lever? Attention. You may have heard that what you focus on grows. This is more than a slogan, it's a description of how synaptic plasticity works. Neurons that fire together, wire together. But the catch is, only what you attend to gets the privilege of rewiring your brain. Think about the last time you tried to change a behavior with sheer willpower while being distracted, half watching TV, scrolling your phone, or worrying about your to-do list. The brain processes those inputs in parallel, but the signal is weak. No wonder new habits don't stick. Focus is the amplifier. There's a fascinating principle in neuroscience called selective attention. When you deliberately focus on a task, say, practicing a new piano chord, or even just noticing your breath, your brain's reward system releases small bursts of dopamine. Not the big, addictive kind that comes from social media, but the kind that tells your neurons, this is important, strengthen this pathway. Dopamine is a teaching signal. It marks the moment to remember. Over time, repeated focused attention on a behavior is what actually sculpts the physical structure of your brain. So here's your next micro-action. Choose a 5-minute window each day to practice your new habit with full attention. No multitasking. If it's walking, walk and notice only the sensations in your feet. If it's journaling, write and feel the pen in your hand. The more focused, the more potent the rewiring. 5 minutes is enough to start. The science is clear. Deliberate practice, not mindless repetition, is what drives plasticity. But there's another piece we can't ignore: emotion. Most self-improvement plans treat emotion as a glitch, or at best an obstacle. But psychology and philosophy suggest otherwise. Emotion is data. It's your brain's way of assigning value to experience. In fact, the emotional tone of an experience, whether it feels good, bad, or meaningful, determines whether it's remembered, repeated, or avoided. Here's the kicker. If you want a new habit to stick, you need to engineer a positive emotional payoff, even a small one. This isn't toxic positivity, it's basic neuroscience. When you finish your 5 minutes of focused practice, do something that makes you smile, even a little. Stretch, play a song you love, text a friend. This positive reinforcement releases another dose of dopamine, reinforcing the new pathway. This also explains why punishing yourself for slipping up never works long term. Shame and self-criticism activate the brain's threat circuits, narrowing attention and making you more likely to fall back on old habits. Self-compassion, on the other hand, activates networks associated with safety and learning. In Buddhist terms, this is called metta, or loving kindness, not as a moral stance, but as a way of keeping the nervous system open to change. So, your next micro action, when you slip, and you will, practice catching yourself with curiosity, not judgment. Say, interesting, I fell into the old loop. What was the cue? This mindset isn't just nicer, it's more effective. Research in clinical psychology, especially in therapies like acceptance and commitment therapy, shows that self-compassion predicts better outcomes for behavior change than self-criticism. Let's pause. Right now you might be thinking, this sounds good, but will it really work for me? Isn't my brain different? Maybe you've tried and failed before. Here's something to know. Your brain's plasticity doesn't vanish at 25 or 40 or 70. It slows, yes, but it's always there. Even in older adults, studies using MRI have shown measurable changes in brain connectivity after just a few weeks of targeted practice, whether that's learning a new skill, changing a thought pattern, or even just walking a new route to work. But there's a catch. The brain resists change not because it's broken, but because it's efficient. The old pathways are energy-saving, new ones are expensive. This is why most people quit after the initial burst of motivation wears off. The trick is to make the new pathway just easy enough and just rewarding enough that your brain keeps investing in it. That's why the protocol I'll give you is simple, but not simplistic. You won't see fireworks in a week, but if you follow it for 30 days, you'll begin to feel the subtle shift, a little more ease, a little less friction, a sense that you actually can shape your mind, not by force, but by design. Let me tell you a story. A friend of mine, let's call him Alex, spent years trying to fix his procrastination. He tried every productivity hack, every app, every planner. Nothing stuck. When he finally understood that his procrastination was a learned habit loop, cue, anxiety about a task, routine, check email, reward, temporary relief, he stopped trying to white-knuckle through it. Instead, he experimented. Each time the anxiety hit, he stood up, stretched, and set a timer for 2 minutes to work on the task, no matter how little he accomplished. He tracked each success, no matter how small. It felt pointless for 2 weeks, but by week 3, he noticed the urge to check email was weaker. By week 4, he was starting tasks with less dread. He didn't become a productivity superhuman, but his brain had changed, just enough to make a difference. Now, let's anchor all of this in a protocol you can actually follow. Here's the 30-day plan. Science-based, realistic, and practical. You can use this for almost any habit, mood, or thought pattern you want to change. Step 1, pick one target. Not 5, not 3, just one. The brain rewires most efficiently when it's not overwhelmed. Ask yourself, what is one habit or thought pattern that, if it shifted, would make your day noticeably better? Write it down. Step 2, identify the loop. For a week, just observe. What is the cue? What time, place, emotion, or trigger sets off the habit? What is the routine, the exact behavior? What is the reward? What do you get, even if it's just relief or distraction? Write this down each time it happens. You're making the invisible visible. Step 3, choose your substitution. What is one small, easy alternative you can do when the cue hits? It should be so simple, you can do it even when you're tired or unmotivated. If you're trying to stop scrolling your phone when anxious, maybe your substitution is standing up and taking 3 slow breaths. If you want to start a gratitude habit, maybe it's writing one thing you're grateful for as soon as you pour your morning coffee. The key is specificity and ease. Step 4, practice with attention. For the next 3 weeks, each time the cue hits, do your substitution. For at least 5 minutes a day, practice it with full attention, no multitasking. Track your wins. Don't worry about perfection. Aim for consistency. Step 5, engineer a positive emotion. After each successful substitution, reward yourself. Play a favorite song, stretch, or just note the win. This positive association tells your brain, this is worth repeating. Step 6, embrace prediction error. When you feel discomfort, boredom, or resistance, label it. This is what change feels like. Breathe and let it be. You're training your brain to tolerate the friction of rewiring. Step 7, practice self-compassion. When you slip up, catch yourself gently. Ask, what was the cue? What might help next time? No shame, just data. This keeps your nervous system open to learning. Step 8, review weekly. At the end of each week, look back at your notes. Where did you succeed? Where did you struggle? Adjust your substitution if needed. It's normal to tweak as you go. Step 9, after 30 days, reflect. What's different? What's easier? Don't expect transformation. Look for small shifts. Less friction, more ease, maybe even a sense of pride that you stuck with it. Expect setbacks. Expect boredom. Expect your brain to resist. That's not failure, it's the process. The scientific literature is clear. Lasting change is measured in weeks and months, not days. Most neural pathways require at least 21 to 30 days of consistent practice to begin to shift, and even then, maintenance is key. But those small shifts add up. Zooming out, what does all this mean for you as a human being? Not just a collection of neurons and behaviors. Here's the deeper truth. Your brain is both your prison and your passport. Most of what you think, feel, and do is the product of patterns laid down over years, by genes, by culture, by habit. But the same machinery that traps you can also free you, if you know how it works and are willing to work with it, not against it. There's a concept in Taoism called Wu-Wei, often translated as effortless action. Paradoxically, the way to change isn't to fight yourself, but to flow with the natural tendencies of your brain, to make small, consistent nudges, to notice and accept friction, to celebrate small wins, to be curious about your slips. This isn't mystical. It's just good neuroscience. The river carves the canyon not by force, but by persistence. So if you're looking for a miracle, you won't find it here. But if you're looking for a way to use what science actually knows about the brain, to change, not overnight, but over 30 days, this is where you start. Your brain is waiting for your next instruction. If you found something in this protocol you want to try, let me know in the comments. What's the one habit or pattern you'll focus on for your 30 days? And if you learn something new about how your brain works, like and subscribe. There's more science, more real talk, and more practical wisdom to come. I want to hear your stories. Your brain is ready. Are you?